It is now my honor to introduce Dr. Seun Adigun. She is a chiropractor and biomechanist focusing on injury prevention and rehabilitation. After completing her bachelor's in exercise science and health professions from University of Houston, she realized her academic journey was just starting. She added a Master of Education in Physical Education Motor Behavior from UH, where she was also an assistant women's track and field coach. Desiring more expertise in the field of anatomy, she obtained a Master's of Science in Exercise and Health Sciences from UH Clear Lake and achieved her Doctorate of Chiropractic from Texas Chiropractic College. Dr. Adigun, a first-generation Nigerian American, pursued an athletic career in track and field and bobsledding alongside her academic path. She competed in the 2012 Summer Olympics in London and the 2018 Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea. She represented Nigeria as the driver in two-woman bobsled. She is the founder of Nigeria's first ever Olympic bobsled team, the first Nigerians at the Winter Olympics, and the first Africans in bobsled at the Winter Olympics.
Thank you. Faculty, parents, staff, and administrators, thank you for this honor. To the University of Houston Clear Lake, class of 2021, I salute you. This day, this moment, this degree represents so much, and not just in the typical way of graduation. You guys represent a light, a beacon of hope. You are living proof of why change and defeat are not synonymous. Your class represents a time where giving up felt like the only answer for so many people, but your perseverance would not let go. Proof that even in the most challenging times, resilience can reign triumphant. Every single one of you has a story or a testimony to what you faced in the last year of your degree. Yet here you are today, receiving an accolade that no one can ever take away. You deserve this moment of praise. You truly deserve to give yourselves a round of applause. But it doesn't stop here. The journey continues. You are now entering a time I like to call the Great Transition. This phase of life has repeated itself multiple times in my life, and I cannot honestly say if that's a good or bad thing. But one thing I know for sure is that every time I was exposed to patterns that helped me succeed no matter what the transition was. Now, I'm not here to stand before you proclaiming that I have all the answers, but I'd like you to take a moment to consider this perspective. In December of 2017, almost 10 years after completing my undergraduate degree, I walked those same halls of the Student Services Building for the last time. All I kept thinking to myself was, man, it's time to figure out how to peel back these last few layers of my comfort zone, because the world was not going to wait for me. I often heard people say, time waits for no one, but in that moment, during that walk, was when it really hit me what the phrase actually meant. That phrase is a call for self-honesty, because as I later realized, I could camouflage my vulnerabilities to everyone else, but if I wasn't real with myself about my shortcomings, there was no way I was going to be able to grow from them and unlock my true potential. Just a couple short months later, in February of 2018, I became the first African, male or female, to compete in both the Summer and Winter Olympic Games. And for that to happen, I had to successfully trek through the Great Transition multiple times. As scary as it was to reimagine a life after change, I knew it was the only way to peel back the layers of my comfort zone that would ultimately prepare me to take on the world. In the Winter Olympics, I drove the first ever African bobsled team, and that entire process was riddled with uncertainty and fear. But I somehow managed to remain fearless through the journey because I was often reminded of a familiar place, the Great Transition. A space where I could be honest with myself about my vulnerabilities and grow stronger from peeling back the layers of my comfort zone. Every single journey through the Great Transition taught me more about what I am good at and what I'm not so good at. I was okay with being afraid because I grew to recognize that fear gives birth to strength, and failure is only another opportunity to reinvent myself on this life journey. The Great Transition taught me how to manage my own expectations. It taught me that throughout life, people will project their hopes and desires onto your life, but it is not your job to manage everyone else's expectations. I want each of you to take a moment as you work your way through this great transition and ask yourself, who am I when I am not trying to live up to other people's expectations? That is a difficult question to answer, but one that is so important. Who are you? Not what your parents want you to be, not what your friends want you to be, not what your significant other wants you to be, not what social media wants you to be, but who do you want to be? We have been overtaken by social media, which allows us to hide behind our reality and endure false levels of entitlement. But recognizing this great transition anchors you in a place of your own truth. You have the power to define your own success. And whether you've realized it or not, you have to use that power to get you to this point. And this is why the class of 2021 is so special. You have endured some of the craziest times in human history, and yet you are still here, prepared to take on yet another great transition. Just remember, life is about balance, and there's nothing wrong with walking away from something that tips your scale of sanity. You cannot pour into anyone or anything when you are empty. Not everyone is set out to change the world, but we can all do our part to leave this world better than we found it. And that is why I started this address with a salute to all of you, because you have already shown levels of resilience that at the very least will rewrite the perception of your own strength. You are who you think you are. And I am so honored to have been able to share in a moment of glory, one of your great transitions. God bless you all, and go Hawks.
Thank you for your inspirational words, Dr. Adegun.